I can send. Let's do the speakers. Change the speakers.
Yeah.
It's being recorded. Hey
Yeah.
guys, hi everyone.
Now we got it. All right. Can you guys hear us?
Hello.
Oh,
Hi.
hello.
Hi.
Hey everyone.
Can you hear everyone?
Hey.
Awesome.
Ooh, works.
Gord, what's up?
Can you folks hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Loud and
Yeah.
clear. Coming in great.
Great,
Yeah.
good stuff.
Oh, it's got
Hey,
the,
how
it's
come,
got the
how come you guys get a Stan and Len there on your screen? I get a nothing.
You're so
Oh,
fancy.
Some background. So hello everybody. On my screen, I think it just says Thunder Laser Canada. So no introduction for me. I'm Z Kessler. You might have emailed me about education. I might have replied to you. I'm here organizing the first, well, I guess this is technically the second, but first of this series webinar. So we're going to be doing these monthly. And this month we have our lovely friends, and some of them are customers and some of them are partners. So I'll go through and introduce everybody. I'll start with myself. I'm doing education and marketing with Thunder Laser Canada. Many of you might have met Shannon as one of your first contacts. Him and I sort of worked in the maker community, organizing maker fairs and education stuff for years. So that's how we came to be working together. And then I'll move over to Len and Stan. They work at Lens Digital, which is the rotaries, the amazing rotaries that we sell. So I'll let them introduce themselves.
Sure. Thank you so much for having us on. Lovely to be on with you guys. Kind of honored to be on the first webinar. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Hopefully this gains a massive following. But yeah, so this is Len. He's the founder of Lens Digital, and I am Stan. I am his partner. So he started this company over 5 years ago, and I have joined around 3 years ago or so. And yeah, we're the makers of the PiBurn, so really popular rotary that works really well with Thunder lasers, as well as a few other laser brands. Really proud and happy to be partners. And yeah, we're here to kind of answer any questions and help out with your viewers if they have any questions. And really, I'm just a big fan of Gord and his channel. That's why I'm here.
Oh, that out. Thank you.
I think you're on mute. We can't hear you.
See, I was trying to be polite, turning off my audio, and then I forgot to turn it back on.
Yeah.
So we have two of our lovely customers here. As mentioned, Gord Potter, who has an awesome YouTube channel that just started, but still has quite a bit of followers. I love watching it. I'm also learning how to use my new Bolt. And yeah, Gord, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you very much. Again, similarly, I'm very thankful to be here today. I'm pretty excited about it. I don't have any background in lasers or crafts or arts whatsoever. I have a business background, and as mentioned, I spend most of my time up north felling trees and bucking firewood, and I have a second YouTube channel. And I was interested in lasers because my daughter was interested, and she does embroidery and heat press and all those good things, or used to. And so I decided to go forward, and I had an interest in lasers. They fascinate me, actually. And the reason why I started the YouTube channel Laser Nug was because I had a bit of an unintended consequence when I started my last channel, which is up north in the forest. Is you find out that within any community, there's a lot of very kind and helpful people. And before you know it, people who have, used equipment will be kind enough to spend time to help you out and to help teach you how to use it properly. So for me, once I got the laser from you good folks from Thunder Laser Canada, I started the channel up shortly thereafter, and it's been a wonderful experience because similar to tractors and chainsaws, there's a lot of people that are very kind in this community. And as I do each video, people are giving me tips, people that know what they're doing or have a lot more experience than I do. And so it's been an excellent interaction. And so right now, if I'm not up north, I'm down in the city learning how to produce products or to use the laser properly, learn settings, those kind of things. And I'm retired, maybe a little early, Because I know I only look 30, but I'm actually 60. So.
And I should also mention that Gord hosts one of our demo centers. So if you're in the Toronto area and you want to learn, see the Bolt in action, you can go to the live studio location
There
of
you go.
LaserDog.
Privacy and comfort in my garage. Yeah, and anybody's
Yeah.
welcome. Absolutely.
Exactly. And then we also have Sara Harling here from Heart and Harling. So I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me as well. I'm actually new to Thunder Laser. I've only had my Bolt for not even 2 months yet. I got it because I have made signs for 4 years, but I was looking to get into the tumbler game. I currently have a Trotec as well, and the rotary for that was going to cost me about the same as my Bolt and the rotary. So
Yeah.
I decided to take a chance on Thunder, and honestly, these last 2 months have been amazing. Doing tumblers, I think it's been a game changer for me. Maybe it's too early to tell, but my queue of over 200 tumbler orders is
Awesome.
yeah.
That's great.
That's amazing.
Fantastic. Yeah, I also kind of monitor our social media. So every day I like to see, especially when it's like new customers, like see what they're up to and like how quickly they're learning. And it's really rewarding, but it's also fun for us because we get to share out what people are doing. So yeah, today I thought we could sort of talk about experiences of our customers and just like they're learning how to use it, different things they've run into that are challenges and issues, but also have a demo from Len and Stan of all the different rotaries they have, what are their best use cases and examples of different products that could be used in them, as well as demo the new harness that was just released for the PiBurn Grip for the Bolt, so it can sit right inside the tray. If you're here on this broadcast right now, I also linked a video to Gord, who is documented on his YouTube channel, that will be sent after the webinar, so you can watch it and learn a little bit more. But I'm sure Len and Stan can also give you a great demo live here.
It's not going to be as good as Gord's.
No, I'm sure it'll be fun. It'll be great.
No, honestly, when I saw that video, I sent it to Len. I'm like, we're done. We can just take a vacation. This is like, you really did an amazing job, honestly.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
It's got like it's very approachable, consumable. You got a very easygoing style. You're a natural born content creator who's 30 years old. Makes sense.
How did you learn so much so early?
Yeah, my wife's always 29 and I'm always 30.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. That's very kind.
Yeah. So like one thing I'll say, you mentioned the customers. Yeah. So we just did a poll recently on one of the larger groups that we lead. There's a Rotary group on Facebook, got about 26,000 people on there as well. We've got a group about 5,000 or so. So we did a poll of our customers and just other Rotary users right out there in the space. And basically what we found, we asked a bunch of questions, and what we found is that having a Rotary increases the ROI on your laser by on average 35%. So let's say you take a $10,000 machine. If you don't have a Rotary, you'll make $100, let's say, a month. Versus if you had a rotary, I'm making this, it could be 1,000, 10,000, versus if you have a rotary, 30% more. Now you're making 1,300, right? So it's just a no-brainer. For a little bit of a higher cost up front, you're getting a much higher ROI, and the pay down time. So at the time it takes you to pay back your laser shrinks, not by 35%, but by 50%, right? Because your revenue numbers are higher, you're paying that down faster. So you're done paying off the laser much quicker. So it makes a lot of sense. This is why we love this business. We absolutely love this business. It's an opportunity for us to help the community of makers make money faster, right, and be more successful.
I can validate these stories. Totally true, because one of our first customers Danielle runs Buttercup Co. And we invited her. She wasn't able to come, but she has run a business, no experience on the laser at all, only does tumblers, paid off her laser in 2 months. And her and her mom running a business together. And she also works full time. So that is, you know, if you look on our blog, you'll find a blog about her, but it's true. People think it's, you know, an exaggeration, but I think, you know, if you have someone that goes out in there in the community making connections and the other person making things, it's like, you know, you're really unstoppable because it's something people need, right? Like tumblers are a thing. Everyone uses them, so everyone loses them too.
And the market is so big. It's like staggering how big the market is and how big the opportunity. And every single time I hear, you know, people saying, "Oh, it's too crowded," there are pockets that are kind of crowded. Like if you just go on Etsy, there's going to be lots of people that compete. But if you go out the door and go to Main Street and talk to your local businesses and give them a free tumbler, maybe with their logo, it's just green fields. I mean, the opportunity there is massive for one-time customer, recurring customers, bigger relationships that can go up to corporate. You know, the opportunity there is so big, and it's not scratching the surface yet, which is kind of really exciting for our customers and our makers.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's quite big.
Yeah.
So would you mind giving us a rundown of your rotary lineup and what great use case scenarios are for each?
Who's going to do that?
Sure, I can.
Len, you're up.
I can show you the.
No,
Rock,
just
paper,
change the camera.
scissors.
Change the camera to this.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking too much, Len. So okay, so here, go. You got the remote. All right, so here we have 2 rotaries.
Yes, so we have. So this is our regular V4 PiBurn.
Let's move this out of the way.
Yep. It has a magnetic feed. So you can actually do almost any kind of tumblers on this one. So the back side goes up and down. You can move it depending on the length of your tumbler. It's really easy to set up. It takes just a few seconds. Place it like this, lift it. And that's it. It's ready to engrave. So it's going to be, basically it's going to be turning while laser is engraving it on top. It has a front stopper right here, so cup doesn't walk forward. It has a back stopper in the back, so cup doesn't walk backwards. And they're both adjustable. So the front stopper, actually, the purpose of it, you can also extend it a little bit. So if you have a mug with handles, you're gonna be able to do it. You're gonna be able to push it so the handle doesn't hit the wheels.
So it clears the wheels.
Yeah, exactly.
You want to do that, Stanley? You want to do that, Stanley, or no?
Where is it?
There's a dupe right there, right beside you.
Right here. Yep. So let me show you.
This one we did, by the way, this cup is really cool. We just did that yesterday on the Bolt.
Yep.
But we use the grip. So we're going to show you the grip as well. The grip is our Chuck rotary. What Len is showing is the PiBurn 4.0.
Yep.
It's the roller rotary. It's got wheels. It relies on friction. But it is the most common rotary out in the market. It's really, really, really simple to swap items and
so as I was saying,
adjust.
You see how handle is gonna hit the wheels right now. So what I can do, I can push this stopper forward. Now it's not gonna let cup move and hit the handle.
So that just as like a little aside, just like that little thing, that little stopper has got like 10 different pieces in it, right? That tiny little component, but it works perfectly to make sure the handle clears the wheels. It's these little things that just take a lot of thought that aren't present on other rotaries that make it easier to work with for our customers.
Yep. So this is the roller, and this is what we call Omni. So basically, it has a roller on one side, and it has a grip on the other side.
So very quickly, the grip is, oh, they can't see me. They can just hear me. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right. So the grip is
You're a great narrator.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so the grip, the one that Len is using right now, that is our chuck-based rotary. And I think that's the one that Gord uses on the Bolt. And it is a game changer, really. When we launched that in November of 2022, it really changed the game for our customers because it doesn't slip. It does not rely on friction. It actually uses those three jaws to firmly grasp the object, kind of like a clamp would. And the object isn't going anywhere. So if you've got a very heavy handle, or if you've got, or if you want to do a full wrap, like the one that Len did, where the seams have to meet perfectly, you can't afford even a fraction of a millimeter slippage. A tiny little slip will it will affect the engrave and the lines won't meet.
Yeah, especially if you have something like this with heavy handle, it might slip on the rollers, but it's not gonna slip on the grip.
Yeah, so no matter how good a roller is, and the V4 is amazing, you might have a little bit of slipping, right? And the grip just eliminates that. Now it's a chuck-based rotary, so it's more advanced, right? It's a little more involved to use. It's got more moving pieces. It has the three jaws like any, like a chuck system would. It has stoppers that are built in, and it has this bracket that allows you to lower or raise the grip up and down. So if you wanted to do a dog bolt, you could just raise it up. And if you want to do something tiny, just lower it, right? The range in this thing is really impressive. So you can do a pen all the way up to a dog bowl, like a 7-8 inch dog bowl. And these fingers are really easily removable. They're swappable, right? Like you can.
Yeah, depending on the diameter of the object, there's 3 positions in the base jaw, so you can actually. So I'm gonna try a bigger tumbler. So for this, I'm gonna move them to the outer edge right now.
Yeah, so as he does that, I'm just going to say kind of the use cases you've mentioned, Z. So we get this question a lot. Why would I ever need the roller? Why would I ever need the PiBurn 4? Because the grip does everything so well. I would say that for the beginner user, someone who's new to the laser game, someone who wants to do tumblers kind of like this, really simple, just a logo on the front, where even if it slips a fraction of a millimeter, it won't matter. You'll never see it. And someone who does like hundreds of the same type of cup, where swapping of the cup, like even if it's a few seconds, like 20 or 30 seconds, that matters. It adds up with 100 cups. I would still recommend the V4 roller. But as you kind of, as you level up your laser game, so to say, and as you move up to full wraps, more complicated objects, things that have a heavy handle, things that are maybe irregular shaped, dog bowls. Really don't try a large dog bowl in a roller. It's going to be off balance, right? But the chuck keeps it centered. The balance is better with a large object in the chuck. So that's when you want to upgrade to the grip. And it is more expensive, but it's got a much higher range of objects you can do. So I hope that makes sense, right? Z, did I answer that question? Kind of like you're asking me to go around
I think that's a great explanation. And so I'm wondering if anyone wants to put questions about these in the chat or the Q&A, I can bring them up, and everyone they should be able to see them, but I can also say them out loud for people that can't find where the Q&A is. I'm not sure how many people that are attending already have a rotary, or if they're looking to buy one and they just have questions about it. But
I have a question.
go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'd love to hear from Sara. Like, first of all, I'm super excited for you that you've had such a what I'd offer is like kind of an explosive beginning. You must be very excited and also a little bit worried about being exhausted over the coming weeks trying to get all that out. But what kind of rotary are you using on the Bolt?
So I have the grip, and for lack of better terms, I honestly feel it's idiot proof. I can throw a cup on there. I mean, I know right away if it's going to tip, if I need to use the back end to hold it up, or if it can just hold on its own. Honestly, talking about the other one, saying that it would be quicker to switch cups on and off. I have no issue doing it right away. Nothing really moves. I'm not using the harness yet because I'm yet to install it. I'm too busy doing everything else. But yeah, like I said, there's not a lot of room for mistakes or errors when using the grip.
No, that's great. And plus, when you've got that kind of volume, you've got a good solid piece of equipment. Like you said, I mean, spinning a mug off and putting it on is so simple, and it doesn't move. And you're left with your X and Y, and you just push start again, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I think once I have the harness in and I'm not adjusting that sort of stuff, it'll be even quicker. But for now, just popping cups on and off, I have no issue getting it on quickly, swapping it off, aligning it, focusing it, making it level. It's all pretty straightforward.
Good. That's great.
So is the Bolt going to be a dedicated, is that a dedicated tumbler machine for you, Sara?
Yeah, so far everything I cut wood-wise is MDF and usually thicker than 1/4 inch. I mean, the Trotec that I have is super powerful, and that's why. So I am trying to only use the Bolt for tumblers. I have used it for a few engravings, but speed, there's a little bit of a difference there. And then just power. So, but I'm already, like, with the amount of orders coming in, I'm already thinking, oh my gosh, I might need to get another one.
Yeah. No, that's great.
Yeah.
That is super.
Yeah.
That machine is great. That machine is really great. We have 3 Thunder lasers in our shop. I have one personally at home. I have actually the Nova 24 at home in my basement, and my wife uses that to engrave a lot of Yeti tumblers. I'll tell you, the Bolt has been really impressive. Really impressive. I don't know what it is. Maybe the RF tube and just the neat, nice little package, and the the whole experience around using that laser is just awesome. They really, and the price is right. They found such a great gap in the market and filled it so well. So hats off to you guys at Thunder Laser Canada. Great machine. I mean, and I know how many customers are excited about it, how many use it and love it. That's a really nice machine.
Yeah, it's very user friendly as well. Plug in and play, get going. Yeah.
Can I also ask just a related question for Sara? Have you started using that taper warp thing in Lightburn yet?
No, taper warp.
Yeah,
Oh,
it just
yeah.
came out the last update, and it's anyways, that's a different discussion. But yeah, it's an interesting add into Lightburn that helps it to determine the taper of the mug and adjust the design accordingly. So
Okay.
yeah, I've been using it last week. It's pretty simple.
Okay.
Yeah, very interesting.
Is there a
I'll
video
have
coming
to-
of that, Gord, how to use it?
I'm sorry?
Are you going to do a video on how to use that?
I think I will when I'm back next week, because I messed it up several times, because I'm, like you guys have probably noticed, I'm not very mechanical. So I'm going through, I tried using it and I did it wrong. And of course, I gave my buddy yet another wasted tumbler because I messed it up. But once I figured out how to use it, I may do something, because it's not obvious, I think, to me, how it's supposed to be used. So I figured it out now, and so it works great. But of course, it's like everything else you learn being new to lasers. It's spoilage, right? Your inventory is, whether you assign those expenses to R&D or spoilage or how you want to account for it, you're going to go through a bit of inventory to get your settings correct. And that was just an added couple extras I didn't plan on, because I thought it was pretty simple. It's actually not, if you don't apply it correctly.
We have a good.
Go ahead.
There's a question that came up, and we can answer this now if we want to, or maybe we can answer it later. So, what's the best strategy for getting a full wrap to line up perfectly? Because I'm sure a lot of people have this sort of question. I don't know if Len and Stan, if you want to answer, or have you experimented with full wraps as well, Sara? I think you have, right?
Done a few, yeah. I wouldn't say that I have it down to perfection. Most of my wraps aren't wraps that need to butt up fully. It's just like a random sporadic design. But I did do the tape covered tumbler with low setting, high power to do a test wrap just to see if it lined up. And that was super helpful. But again, I can't speak to a design that absolutely needs to butt up perfectly.
Yeah.
So that's very, very important, actually, what Sarah's saying. There's two different types of full wrap designs. And when customers want to do a full wrap, they should really keep this in mind. Like the most important thing, obviously, after you have to have the rotary aligned to the gantry. So you have to have that aligned to the gantry. That you've got to have it, make sure it's straight. There's no slanted or tilted situation at all. But there's two types of files. There is something called a seamless wrap file. So you can get, if you're going to go on Etsy and buy a file or get it from a friend, there's seamless wrap designs, which means they're more forgiving. You don't have to line it up perfectly to the millimeter, to the fraction of a millimeter. The design itself like overlaps. So you see these skulls and roses. One of them is going to come here. One of them is going to come here. And the design doesn't need to meet perfectly in the middle. It's a much more forgiving type of design. So if you're going to start doing full wraps, start with those first. It's still a full wrap and people go crazy. So my wife sells Yetis, like I said. She sells a lot of full wraps because it's like the new hot thing and people really, really love it. And Yeti doesn't do it on their website. They actually don't have a rotary. It just engraves straight on with a laser, but it doesn't rotate the cup. So there's a huge gap in the market to be filled by makers. Why am I dominating the camera? Here.
Oh no.
You have to dance around a bit.
I want Len too. It's AI. It's AI. It does it by its own. What was I saying? Right? So there's two types of wraps. What was I saying? Right. So she sells a ton of these full wraps and she doesn't have to worry about it meeting perfectly because the types of designs that she selects are forgiving, even if you make a tiny little bit of mistake. So that's the first thing. Make sure it's that. And anything else, Len, you want to say about the mechanics of doing a full wrap? Len's done them.
It can be tricky, so have an extra tumbler to test it on.
Yeah, don't start with a Yeti or a Stanley. Either. Yeah.
Little Michaels. Yeah.
Yeah. Do a test on tape first. Then just find the tumbler that you're not afraid to lose, and do like a small narrow piece of the wrap just to see if it meets. And it doesn't matter where. It can be on top, can be on the bottom. It's going to be the same. As long as it meets, it means you dialed in your circumference correctly. And after that, you can try doing the actual wrap.
Yeah, try doing the wrap. So, make sure you know that if you have a tapered cup, meaning it's wider on the outside or by the lip than by the bottom, you're going to need to either use the feature that Gord was talking about from Lightburn. It's a new feature that automatically adjusts the image to a tapered cup, or manually adjust the image. And keep in mind that new feature assumes that the taper is even. These Stanley cups are not, they jump. So this is one diameter, this is a different diameter. So you might actually be better off manually adjusting the image for some of these. Else you're going to get a squished.
Yeah, exactly.
That's okay. It will meet.
It's going to be slightly smaller.
It will meet. The lines will meet. You're going to be okay, but it's going to be a squished image here. If you can see the paw, it's nice and round on this end, but it's like on a diet here. It's a little thinner here, right at the bottom. That's what's going to happen.
That's why I have my camera pointed up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I could add to that just briefly, I think the very first place to start, if the folks have a bolt or whatever, is what I learned the hard way is steps per rotation is critical. And if you have the wrong steps per rotation, no matter what you do, it's not going to meet. And so we did find in that one video, 8,020 is the exact steps per rotation for a bolt, 8020. The second thing, which I think is Stan just pointed out, is with this new taper warp feature in Lightburn, I think that's going to help address the geometric changes of that cup based on the taper. But myself personally, I wish I could help you out. I have not yet done a full wrap. The only full wraps I did was in testing for steps for rotation. But I haven't actually tried on whether it's on a regular tumbler that's got a gentle taper, or a Stanley or a travel mug, they call it, that's got that drop to the the smaller bottom, which I don't have anymore. I haven't done that yet, but I imagine that taper warp should assist, or at least whoever's asking the question, if they can maybe throw into the Q&A just a response to say, have you tried that taper warp? And if you're using a bolt, is it 8020 you're using for steps for rotation?
I suggest, because the step rotation, they hard-coded in the motor controller. So we set our motors to 8,000 steps. And this is kind of the, like, it's a set number. So I'll suggest playing with diameter setting. Change the diameter until you see that it's meeting up.
That's the question. So somebody asked a question. What do you do if the steps don't meet? Right? They do it engraved. Maybe they do it on a tape, and the steps don't meet. So Len, that's what Len is saying. Change the diameter.
Yeah, when you go into light burn, assuming you're using it, and you open up that rotary, the little guy in the top right, it's gonna, you click chalk, you click x-axis, not y, and you click enable rotary. But in that box, you were able to change the steps per rotation. There's a default there at 10,000. For the PiBurn Grip with the bolt, it is 8020 exactly. So you can actually just overtype it, and it will stay there it never changes. So if you change it today and you go back in to do tumblers tomorrow, it'll still say 8020. When I do my diameters, I think Len is super correct. I learned kind of the hard way. You can't just take a tape measure and say, oh, it's about 4 inches, or it's about 3.5. Take a set of calipers and do it to 2 or 3 decimal places. You're going to pull it out. I mean, you can get them for $20 at Home Depot. You use the calipers, and if it's 3.957, you would type in 3.957. It's so important because the PiBurn is very accurate. It doesn't take maybes or close tos. The better or the more exact your diameter measurement is, the better that stepper motor or that PiBurn knows how to turn, and the better and cleaner and more crisper the lines on your engrave come out, because it knows. And if you just do a simple line around, like you take a design, you rotate it 90 degrees, you make it exactly the circumference. From my own testing, it will come out exactly on the pinpoint. But if you if it's 3.95 inches and you put 4 inches in, it'll throw it off.
No, it'll
Maybe
be
it's
off.
a little bit. You have to be super exact. So that's why, unless it's larger than 6 inches, because my calipers only go to 6, anything less than 6, I always use the calipers, and I take it to that second or third decimal place, and it makes things so much easier.
This is a great advice. So what my wife has found, she does a lot of Yetis, right? And Yetis are really high quality, but even for the same type of, like a 20-ounce Yeti, she now does the caliper. If she wants to do a full wrap, she now does the caliper on every cup, even the same model cup, because they also have tolerances, and some of them have a slightly different diameter, and so she just measures it.
Yeah, I do as well every time. I hope that was helpful.
Yeah, these are good. Like, I don't personally have a rotary, so having all of you here asking questions to each other is also, and answering, is really great. I know that Sara brought some projects. Do you want to show some of the ones you've been working on, or like mistakes you've made, and just sort of talk about that?
So I didn't bring down the 3 in a row that I made a mistake on yesterday, but I did bring, this is the forgiving wrap that you guys were talking about, something that wraps the whole cup but doesn't meet exactly. That's one of the wraps that I've done. Yesterday.
Sorry, just to clarify, those are called seamless wraps. That was the name for it.
So this one's not a seamless. This one wouldn't be seamless because, it's not butting up. It's more forgiving, where it doesn't need to meet exactly.
Okay, yeah.
There's no industry standard term. It sucks. I think some people on Etsy are calling those, actually, Sara, what you're saying, some people on Etsy are calling those seamless because you don't have to worry about a seam, but it's a little confusing. Yeah, but you'll see right away if you open the design, if it overlaps like that, like what she's saying, that's what you want. If it's a perfect rectangle, then you have to make them meet at exactly that perfect point. You know, you can, if you want to buy a file, ask the design artist, you know, how they did it.
Yeah. That purple one's really neat. And then sorry, go ahead, Sarah.
Yeah, so then yesterday, here was a mistake where I missed the 0 in my speed. So instead of 450 speed, I did 45. Burnt the ends,
Yep.
burnt the ends of the letters there, and couldn't fix that one. So yesterday was a rough day for me. I had 3 Yetis that weren't usable.
Oh man.
But it's okay. I'm going to supply all the baseball parents with messed up Yetis this season. Other people's names and numbers on them.
Right on.
This was just like a customer's photo of their dog that I changed to
that's cute.
Outline
That's cute.
and then engraved that for them. They are actually doing a fundraiser where they're doing raffling off a Yeti with a dog image on it. So this was just a sample for them. I'll get an order for that eventually, and then hopefully more orders for that. And then I was doing wine tumblers and didn't have the cup at the proper angle. And then when I got to the smaller date at the rounded part with my 1.5 inch lens, I wasn't in focus. So I have now switched to the 4-inch lens to give me less room for error. But yeah, those are just some sort of mistakes that I've made some changes to and learned from, and hopefully I don't have any more Yetis that I have to bring to baseball.
Yeah, could I just ask one question, Z, of Sarah? On the travel mug, the one that's larger diameter at the top. Nope, the first one.
Okay, yeah, wrap.
Are you using a 4-inch lens on that to get across that large drop and taper?
Yeah, so this one I did. Talking to Shannon in my training, I learned that you sort of have to have it on an angle so that your like center point is meeting here and here. So it's going to be a little higher in the top, but because of your 4-inch lens, you have a wider focus point so that those areas engrave the same.
Right on. Well, good for you. That's awesome.
All learning.
You won't
There's
be
a
getting
question about. There's a question about failure here. So I saw the thing being like, I screwed up those mugs. So someone asked, be honest, how often do you mess up? How do you manage that feeling of failure?
Yeah.
It happens. I never like to admit when I mess up, but let's be real, it happens. So yesterday I had the 4 cups that I messed up on, bringing those to baseball. And like I said, if I didn't have a whole bunch more orders in queue where I knew I was going to be making the money back, it might hurt a little more. But right now I just laugh it off. You know what I mean? What else can I do? It's part of running a business. There is profit, there is loss, you know, like at the end of the day, as long as I'm trending upwards and I'm putting out more good than bad, well, then I'm winning.
Yeah. Plus you write those off, right? That's so from a
100%.
business perspective.
I brought them here, so they are samples.
Yeah, exactly. And so the only thing I could offer, like for myself personally, is I only just started selling these tumblers 3 days ago. So it's been a good week. It's certainly not a blockbuster that Sarah's had. That's why I'm super excited for it. I've only sold about 22 of them in the last couple of days. But the key is what I did at the beginning for the first while to try to figure out my settings is I was buying the cheapest mugs on Amazon and the cheapest mugs at Michael's, because Michael's gives you a 40% off ticket. So you buy cheap mugs. And then I played with them. And then as I got close to what my settings were, that's when I started actually using the inventory I planned on reselling for product. That way the waste is the waste. And yeah, my girls all have way too many tumblers right now. My buddies have them. I mean, everybody I cut wood with in the forest has a tumbler already. It might not look the best, but hey, it's a tumbler. But once you get your settings really close to what you think you want,
that's a practice tumbler.
that's when you use it, right? And as far
You
as
know
the
what?
price, oh, go ahead, Sarah.
I was gonna say a good place to get free ones is at the pool, because or the gym. People leave them and they just get rid of them after like a month or a week or something. So you should just ask, what day do you get rid of these? And go pick up a bunch of practice tumblers
Good idea.
because they don't know what to do with them. They just throw them out, recycle them or something.
If I can just add to that, it's such a great question about failure in general, and the question is deeper. It's not just about cups; it's about business. And I think the way you take those little failures is an indicator of how successful you are going to be at business in general, right? So how do you look at it? Like, oh no, this is a wasted tumbler, and I wasted a $30 cup. It's a disaster. Or do you look at it like, hey, this is now a practice tumbler. This is a stepping stone to now me getting better, that much better. It's an opportunity to improve. That is the differentiator, right? Because a lot of people will say, guess what? I can't take the pain. I cannot take this messed up tumbler. I'm too petrified. I will mess up another one. And they will stop. And that's a shame. Power through it. I mean, certainly use tape. You want to minimize it. You don't want to throw money left and right. You want to minimize the mistakes. Absolutely. But I'm here to tell you that you are going to fail. It's part of the journey. You are going to have some failed tumblers 100%. This is part of it.
Yeah.
In fact, every single successful engraver messes up tumblers. Guaranteed. 100%. My wife still, she does a lot. She does like 20 a day. She'll mess up one every day. Build that into the pricing, build that into the expectation. That's a gift to somebody. That's a practice tumbler. That's a cup for me. I have a lot. I drink out of messed up Yetis. No problem. It's fine. There's still holding water. I don't care.
Still works. Still keeps your drink cold. It's true.
Right? But
yeah.
It's how do you look at it? How do you react? That's going to be a determining factor.
Very good advice, Dan, I think, for everybody. And just the other thing, just keep receipts for everything you buy. Whether it's one tumbler for $7 at Michael's or whatever it is, keep all your receipts, throw them in a file, because that spoilage, at the end of the day, you'd rather not spend money if you don't have to. But as Stan said, until you start to get good at it and get your settings correct, you're going to have to go through inventory. And even when you have inventory, there's going to be that time where something messes up. It's just part of business, regardless of what business you're in, for sure.
100%.
Thanks, everyone. So we have a few questions, and some of them are put in here by Shannon because he gets these questions all the time in phone calls and emails. So it's kind of good if people don't know the answers to these, and also just some clarifications. I don't know if we only have about 15 minutes left, so I just want to make sure to get through about 4 of them. So, and then we might have more. So if we could just kind of give a succinct answer, anyone can chime in about this. We were talking earlier about what if the seam doesn't meet? And then we said, okay, you have to check the diameter, change the diameter, like measure with the calipers. And then the question is, do you change in the laser setup or do you change it in the artwork? I'm assuming the laser setup, right? Am I correct on that?
Can you say the question again for me?
Earlier there was a question is, what do you do if the seam doesn't meet? Change the steps, change the height. And then we were talking about checking the diameter. But the question to clarify was, do you change the diameter in the laser setup or do you change it in the artwork?
When you put in the diameter of your cup, it generates the circumference number. So your design should be totaling width or height of the circumference that it's generating for you. As long as your calipers are correct, your diameter is correct, then your circumference should be correct. And then when you're sending it to the laser, it should all even out. That's just my experience. What I would assume would.
I do both, actually. So if it's just a tiny bit not meeting, I would just stretch my artwork slightly. That's what I do personally.
Yeah. And the other thing I'd offer just to throw in is, if you haven't started using that taper warp feature, give that a shot, because it does actually work. It's not going to help you with your cylindrical or your circular logos, but it will help you with adjusting your artwork to meet the taper, it just doesn't do anything to address to any degree the issue you have with a circular logo. It doesn't do anything to
I have that
that.
question on here actually, so it's a good lead in there, Gord. And I think you had that question you wrote to us when you first got your rotary, didn't you? About trying to get that circle actually circular instead of like stretched. So how did you solve that issue?
Yeah, so one of the great things about having the channel is, as I mentioned earlier, is people will try to help you. So I struggle sounds so dramatic. You know, it's like when we had to walk to school when we were kids through the snowstorm. As I was learning these things, I didn't understand this whole stuff for rotation. I figured that out eventually, but on top of that, it kind of caused the same issue with a circular or a symmetrical circle. And it's not that the circle's not a circle. It is, but visibly it's either going to be stretched or squished. And if you take your tape, you know, because we all have one of those fabric tapes that, you know, my grandma used to make my clothes, and you wrap it around the concave surface, you'll find that the circle is exactly a circle.
Fine. It's fine.
But when you hold it up, it's no longer a circle anymore, right? It gets stretched or squished depending on it. So I got responses back from a whole bunch of people saying, well, all you got to do is add 10% to your width. And then some people would say you add 7% to your width.
Right.
What I've learned over the last few weeks, and I haven't finalized, is that percentage depends on the gentleness or the aggressive taper of the mug.
Yes.
So this one might be 10%, but 10% is not working for this one.
Yep.
And so what I found is, as I've been practicing through my cheap mugs, is as I get to the ones that I'm selling now, I've recognized that, for example, the taper or the percent increase to the width on this one is not the same as the white mug that Sara showed up, the little wine cooler that's got the very aggressive taper to a big belly at the bottom. It's not the same. So what I think you do is you practice, and when you're ready and you've got a feel for that percentage, then take the inventory that's now actually costing you a lot more money that you're actually going to be reselling with your design, and then finalize it. And you'll know that when you're doing designs on this one, it's 9.5% increase. On this one, it's 7.5%. Because as I mentioned, it appears from my testing in the last week and a half, the taper warp does not help with that. It helps with normal designs and text and those kind of things to help it spread. But your circle is still going to come out oval or stretched, regardless of if you use it or not.
Yeah, that's an optical illusion.
Yeah.
That's actually an optical illusion, because we've been thinking about this for a long time. It's a very common question. Really common. We get asked this all the time. Yeah,
and your wife probably does the same thing. So when I'm determining my percentages, I'm now using glasses after too many years. I never had glasses before, so whenever I do it and I think it looks circular, I'll go ask my daughters and my wife, does that look circular to you? And that's kind of my second test, that if my eyes see it and they all agree, yeah, that looks like a circle, then I know that's my percentage increase.
Very fine.
Yeah, there is a spreadsheet, I think, on our group. You can plug in the numbers, diameter, stuff like that, and it will tell you by how much you need to stretch the image.
That's work, by the way. I hope your wife is getting paid for that. She should be getting paid. That's extra.
No matter how much I paid her, it wouldn't be enough. She's worth more.
Awesome. So I'm wondering, with all of our participants, but as well as Gordon and Sara, do you have any questions for Len and Stan? More rotary questions, engraving questions?
But Sara, I'll let you go first.
There's nothing off the top of my head right now, but I'm sure coming up I will definitely run into something where I need to reach out.
Okay.
How about sorry, just before we go off, Sara, any recommendations to someone else starting off using the laser with the rotary for the first time?
Don't be scared. I mean, you're gonna fail, you're gonna win, it's fun. It's all part of the process. Honestly, share everything. People love to see all the wins, all the losses. They just want you to be real. I have been listing my tumblers on Marketplace. That's my secret for tumbler sales. I am hitting a lot of sports teams that are looking for coach gifts. So
Right.
coach gifts with kids signatures, anything like super personable. People love that stuff. But yeah, I don't know. Just don't be scared. It took me a year. It took me a year to go for a rotary and a laser, and now I keep kicking myself like, why did I wait so long?
Good
That's
for
awesome.
you.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Thank you.
Gord, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah. So just for Stan and Len, I'm not sure if it's true or not, but the harness, the magnetic harness, are you using earth magnets on that?
Yeah, those
Rare earth
rare
magnets.
earth. Yeah, I believe it's
Yeah, because
N50.
they are super strong. I was actually quite surprised,
Oh,
and
yeah.
you know, as you know, people on the I think call will hopefully understand. There's no conflict of interest. You know, I'm not paid by Lens Digital or receive any commissions. It is in fact an excellent product in my own assessment. And when I got that harness, that's the one thing I was concerned about is, you know, are those magnets going to stick? And they are crazy strong. That's why I thought, you know, maybe on your website, you might want to point out they are earth magnets, because people that understand the difference will immediately trigger on that. When it snaps on, it's on. It's two hands to pull that thing off. And I think that's, you know, goes back to something that I think Sara talked about earlier when we talk about, you know, accidentally this happens or moving your things around. When those magnets are snapped, they're not moving. Once you square that thing up and you get it parallel to the gantry, it's not moving. You flip caps in and out. It takes a lot.
Our biggest concern.
Oh, go
Yeah,
ahead.
Sorry. So our biggest concern, just to echo your point, our biggest concern with those magnets is not somebody accidentally moving them, because it ain't moving. Our biggest concern is people pinching their fingers. So Len had to design enough space for, even if it snaps down, it won't pinch your finger. There'll be room for your fingers to survive, because those things are very, very strong.
Can you show in the video the new harnesses for anyone that hasn't seen them?
I can actually show it live if you
We have 7 minutes left, so I'd love to see that. And I'm
You
sure
wanna try
everyone
it,
else
Len?
who doesn't have the harness yet for the bolt, it's specifically
Len-
for the bolt, so anyone knows. But there's also
Len-
one more question as well, so hopefully we have time for both.
Yeah.
And Gord, I'm sorry I interrupted you, but Len was trying.
All right. That was the most important question I had. You didn't mention, usually when people use earth magnets in a product, number one, they're much more expensive, and they usually highlight it as a feature. And I just, once I got it, it wasn't highlighted. When I snapped it in, I almost was for sure I knew they had to be. But yeah,
There's
other
a
than
lot
that, loving it.
like that
Yeah.
about
all
the
good.
product. We don't have any cheap components. We go for the best experience possible. So
Very good.
everything on this product is kind of like that.
And gummies.
Even the wheels, like the wheels on the PiBurn are CNC machined. We don't use templates. We have really, really, really kind of strict tolerances around the product. And Len takes a lot of pride in that. So he went back to the warehouse, which is behind this studio, and he's gonna try to, show you guys. Oh, here we go. We spent a lot of time setting this whole video with the cameras up. We weren't sure it was gonna work until like the very last second. Len was in here setting it up. So we've got the laser. I don't know where Len is. So that, as you can see, is our Thunder laser bolt, and in there is the PiBurn Grip for the bolt. It's got a little bit of a smaller rail. You guys know, that's exactly, I think, the product that you all have, Sara and Gord.
Yeah.
And this one is sitting in the magnetic harness that Gord was talking about. And yeah, I really got to recommend Gord's video. It's the best video. Yep, that's it.
There we
That's
go.
it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Right. Yeah. All right. So we saw it. I don't know if you were gonna. All right, so
moving? No.
we saw it, we did not see it moving. No.
Ah, something.
That's okay. I think we get the
Whatever,
point.
that's all
Jared's
right,
got them
fine.
on the screen.
It's fine.
Yeah, so these are the harnesses. Yeah, these are neodymium magnets right here. So basically you attach them to the magnetic feet on the bolt. They just click.
And you got to wash your fingers.
Yeah. And then you simply place it inside the bolt.
So,
Fortunately, the bolt frame is magnetic. It's not aluminum, so it just snaps in and it stays there. And you can adjust them slightly. You have to, like, be really
you have to
strong.
be really intentional, but you may want to align it to the gantry. And once you do that once, you're good. Yeah, it's in there.
Awesome. So we have 4 minutes left. Last question. I don't know if it can be answered in 4 minutes. But you could always go to the Thunder Laser Canada Facebook group and we could continue this conversation if we can't finish it in time. What are the signs a rotary attachment might need maintenance? What can you do about replacement parts? Is it easy to fix yourself? What are sort of common things that happen with, issues people might have? They seem pretty tough, so I haven't actually seen much myself, people writing in, but good to know, right?
Yes, as far as the rollers, the V4, there's really no maintenance. Sometimes people lose O-rings, so they can just buy extra ones or contact us, we'll send it to them. As far as grip, after some time, there's like dust accumulates inside the grooves, so you might need just to blow it with the air, or you can even lubricate it a little bit with some kind of white lithium grease or something like that. It's gonna help to move it a lot.
I'll tell you one more thing. So this is after about a year or so of use. So the fingers, the silicone coated fingers that grip the objects, they will develop a little bit of an imprint or an indentation on the outside. So you will need to make sure that you either rotate them. Once you rotate them around, they're interchangeable. So the first one can come out, go into the number 3, number 2 can go into number 1, and so forth. So once or if you really are using it on a daily basis and you're running, like my wife, you have to change them, right? So she does 20 tumblers a day and she really wants it tight. So she really cranks on it with those tools to really tighten it, no slipping. You might want to buy another pair of those. We do sell those fingers, just buy another pair. Some people just buy a set and have it sit there. And once the silicone gets worn out, basically over a year or so, they just replace them. That's a very easy replacement. The motors are tanks. The motors, I mean, we have a customer, he runs 7 lasers and they are running all the time. His average order size is 5,000 tumblers for this guy. 5,000 tumblers. That's an average order size. And he goes up to as much as 20,000.
That sounds like Sara in about 3 months.
I hope so.
Yeah, exactly. So massive big corporate client, hospital systems, retail chains. This is big customers. So he swaps it out every year. Every year he has to swap out the jaws. And if you run it on that.
That's great advice. And that's a simple thing, right? Simple. It's not an expensive maintenance, but it's, I don't
know, 30 bucks or so. It's not expensive.
Yeah.
Totally. And the motors are tanks. The motors will last. We still have V1s from 2018 and the motor still works and doesn't skip a step, which, we use very high quality motors. So they're going to be good for a while.
Amazing. So it's exactly 10 o'clock. We managed to get all the questions answered. We went through everything. All of you, that was perfect. So I guess I got to sign off. So thank you everyone for coming. This was really fun. It was fun hanging out and chatting to all of you and having all the questions and conversations that came up. Thanks to everyone that attended. We'll put this on YouTube afterwards so people can watch it if they missed it. But yeah, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
And tune in April 11th. On April 11th, we're doing a session about light burn with our friend of Thunder Laser, Ron Crown. So you'll get a message after this webinar that has the link to sign up for the next one, and also a link to Gord's YouTube video. So yeah, Thanks, everyone. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Okay.
See you next month.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you very
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you,
Bye.
guys. Bye. Take
Bye.
care. Bye.
The webinar has ended. Thank you for joining. Goodbye.